Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes and thanks for joining me in today's list, which is my top 20 favourite tracks from 2022. Now normally here on my channel I normally just do top 10 lists, but always at the end of the year when you're looking back on all the songs that you really enjoyed, it's normally pretty hard to limit it to just 10, so for that reason I've extended it to a top 20, but also for that reason I will not be doing any honourable mentions. Another thing I want to quickly get out of the way is also this list is not set in stone, just like any list that I do here on my channel, whether it's my music or movies. Opinions on songs in this case change all the time. You know, there's some songs here that will probably go higher over time, or there might be some songs that drop completely off my top 20 list, you know, further down the track. You know, none of this is set in stone and opinions change over time, but I probably could have put a little more time and effort into this list, but it would have just consumed, you know, a whole week and a whole lot of effort going into this list. So at the end of the day, I just put in some songs that I really enjoyed through the year, obviously, but ones I kept coming back to and looked back on quite fondly. So without further ado, let's get into my list of my top 20 favorite tracks from 2022. Now, if you've been on my channel before, you guys would be aware of the types of genres of music that I normally listen to and how rap isn't one of them. Yes, sometimes I do like to dip my toes in some rap songs and rap albums, and there's a few artists that I sometimes come back to. However, by all means, I'm not a rap expert or a rap connoisseur in any way. However, I was really impressed by Pusha T's Dreaming of the Past, and I think what it all comes down to is that insanely catchy hook. I've always been drawn into rap songs that have really distinct choruses that, you know, could flow really well on their own, but on top of that, as I said, the verses in this one are really good as well. The beat and melody, as well as the lyrics that are in those verses, really fucking good. But as I said, the drawing point for this one is that chorus and the hook and how it all just comes fully back around to it again. I believe it's produced by Kanye West, and he might even have a featured verse in this one. Yes, I know Kanye has gone a little bit off the rails lately and he's not, you know, globally a loved person at the moment, but all that things aside, I think it is a really fucking good song and I was super impressed by this one. So coming in as my number 20 is Pusha T's Dreaming of the Past. This Is Why by Paramore comes in at my number 19 spot. So far we've had 2 singles come out for Paramore's upcoming 2023 album, and even though the other single, The News, has the more appealing sound for the type of direction I want Paramore to go with this new album, This Is Why has to be the groovier and catchier of the two. This song's been a complete earworm and I haven't been able to escape it, but I have no problem with that because this song is still really fucking catchy and really enjoyable. It reminds me of something off their previous album, After Laughter, and even though I wasn't such a big fan of that album, it had lots of groovy and cool songs, and this one is right up that alley. And as I said, even though it doesn't have the quite more appealing sound that I want their new album to go in, still a really fucking catchy song and did have lots of fun with this one. So coming in at my number 19 is This Is Why. Coming in at my number 18 is Past the Nirvana by Pierce the Veil. Now when I first heard this song, I immediately realised how cool it was, but it was also a song that caught me off guard because it seems to be Pierce the Veil trying out this new grunge sound going forward with their music. And they've done it again with their follow-up single Emergency Contact, also has that grunge feel to it, and it seems to be the direction that they're going to take their new album, which comes out early 2023 also, which I'm really hopeful for in general because Pierce the Veil are one of those bands that always take off a lot of time between albums, and I think that's purposeful just so they can put their best foot forward with the new album that they drop. But going back to the song Past the Nirvana, as I said, a really fucking cool song. The verses and the choruses just so badass, and just looking back on it, one of the cooler songs that we got from this year. So as I said, really hopeful for the band going forward. I'm really anticipating this new album, but again, Past the Nirvana, such a good step forward and a good leading single. So coming in at my number 18 is Pierce the Veil's Past the Nirvana. My number 17 goes to Ultraviolet by the band Silverstein. Now, I've spoken about this so many times through videos this year. I was unfamiliar with the band Silverstein before their new album, which came out in 2022 called Misery Made Me. As in, I knew they were a band, I was just unfamiliar with their songs and all that from the past. This was actually the first song that I ever heard by this band. I believe it was the leading single off Misery Made Me also, and immediately it caught my attention. Just a really cool fucking chorus. The verses to me still are a little bit meh, but that chorus alone is enough to draw you in, and what drew me into this band. And as I said, it was my first taste of Silverstein, and I really enjoyed this album. I reckon there are some better songs on there, but again, as I said, just my first taste of this band. I really enjoyed it, and I'm so grateful for it because I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this band going forward. So coming in at my number 17 is Ultraviolet by the band Silverstein. Things We Used to Do by Oliver Tree comes in at my number 16. Now, as I spoke about when I did my list of my favourite albums from 2022, I spoke about Cowboy Tears and how a lot of people didn't like this album. I think just in general, a lot of people are sort of getting sick of Oliver Tree and his antics, and maybe getting a bit tired of his not so serious songwriting in some particular cases. But this, to me, is a genuinely good song, and it's disappointing because, as I said, a lot of people want to bring up, maybe some of the weaker songs on the album, like Cigarettes and Suitcase Full of Cash, which to me, both of those songs still aren't that bad either. But there are some deep cuts that are really good, and to me, this is one of them, Things We Used to Do. To me, this is a genuinely good song. Really good rhythm and really good melody, but on top of that, really good open and deep lyrics. So I definitely feel like this is an underrated song, an underrated deep cut. So coming in at my number 16 is Things We Used to Do by Oliver Tree. For my number 15, I have Pity Party by Stand Atlantic. Now, for the longest time, I actually didn't know what Stand Atlantic song I wanted to feature in this top 20 list. I thought about Doomsday or Hair Out or Dumb, or there were so many tracks that I was thinking about, especially Blood Clot, that almost took this position, but I ended up going with Pity Party because this was actually the song that pushed me over the edge to actually pick up and check out this album in full. And I'm so happy I did, because if you watched my favourite albums of 2022 list, this actually took number 1. I know that's a bit of a spoiler alert if you haven't checked out that video, but this album took my number 1 spot, and as I said, I probably wouldn't have checked out this album if it wasn't for Pity Party. Still, it might not actually be one of the best songs on the album, but it still is a really solid effort. I really like the feature from Royal the Serpent as well. But overall, really catchy song, really fun song on top of that as well. So coming in at my number 15 is Pity Party by the band Stand Atlantic. Here we have the first repeat by a band so far on my list. So here at number 14, I have Slow Motion by Silverstein. Now, when I spoke about Ultraviolet, I said how that probably wasn't the best song on the album, but still a really good song, and I was really addicted to the chorus from the first time I heard it. But as I picked up the album and checked out some of the back catalogue, I was immediately drawn to Slow Motion. I mean, what an awesome song. As I spoke about in Ultraviolet, some of the verses, they're okay. This song all around is such a solid song, super strong effort, especially the choruses, and I don't even know what you want to call it, pre-choruses or post-choruses. The melodic tune that they have going in that is super addictive too. Overall, such a good song, and probably the best song off that album. So coming in at my number 14 is Slow Motion by Silverstein. Time for probably one of the more popular songs off my list, but coming in at number 13 is Bad Habit by Steve Lacy. Now, I was a little bit late to the chase for this song. This was a song that blew up, and I heard a lot of people talking about it, but I wasn't quite familiar. But one day it came on the radio, and immediately I was hooked. As I said, I know it's a very popular song, and it might be a little bit overplayed at the moment, but still, I really do like this song. It's just really cool. It's a really chill song, very addictive, and it's very stripped back and quite simple. But at the end of the day, sometimes that's all you need. And as I said, I've kept coming back to this song. I find a lot of enjoyment from this one, and I know there's going to be maybe a few haters that are like, oh, it's overplayed, everyone loves this song, but who cares? I really like it, so for that reason I have it as my number 13 on my list. Coming in at my number 12, I have Blender by 5 Seconds of Summer. Now, for 5 Seconds of Summer's newest album that came out last year, this was actually the only single off that album that I liked right from the start. Some of the previous singles I just thought were okay, like even some of the earlier ones like Take My Hand I really didn't like. Complete Mess was another one like that, even though over time it's grown on me. But as I said, Blender right from the start was one that I actually really did enjoy. I really like when 5 Seconds of Summer as a band do songs that feel like, 70s/80s throwbacks, and that's what Blender feels like. It's really groovy and it has like this fun dance-like beat to it. Overall, just a really good song. As I said, like with some of my previous picks, maybe there are some better songs on this album, but this is a song that I've come back to and really enjoyed every time I listen to it. So coming in at my number 12 is Blender by 5 Seconds of Summer. Last song before we get into our top 10, and coming in at my number 11 is Hover Like a Goddess by Willow. Now this song is such a pocket rocket of energy and fun. Right from the word go, it packs a punch. It has such energetic and bouncy and fun, funky verses that flow so well with also the energetic choruses. Overall, this song is just such a solid effort. As I said, it's a pocket rocket, it flies by super quick. I believe it only has a runtime of a little over 2 minutes, so it doesn't overstay its welcome either. If anything, I wish it honestly went a little bit longer. I'm not saying that hurts the rating too much, but overall, just a really solid song. Wish I had a little bit more of it. Probably the best song off Willow's new album, even though there were some contenders that I really thought could have made this list as well. But coming in at my number 11 is Hover Like a Goddess like Willow. And now, let's move into my top 10. Now into the closing half of this list, and coming in as my number 10 was As It Was by Harry Styles. Now this was the leading single for Harry's third album, Harry's House, which made me really hopeful for the album, which unfortunately the album Harry's House was a little bit disappointing for myself. This was easily the best song off the album. Maybe a second place could go to Music for a Sushi Restaurant, but not to get off topic, this song is super fucking catchy, super melodic and catchy verses and choruses. The bells that come chiming in during the outro to this song, super awesome also. A lot of people could argue that this song got a little bit overplayed, and even for myself, this song was so overplayed that it almost made it, maybe a little bit lower on this list, but at the end of the day, super fucking cool song. It just has really solid vibes and really enjoyable song. So coming in at my number 10 is As It Was by Harry Styles. For my number 9, I have the song Daisy Chain by the band Slowly Slowly. Now, when I first heard this song, or first heard the album in general, because this is actually the opening track for it, this was a song that I didn't love, neither hated. It was just sort of an average song for myself, but over time really grew on me. It has such a cool, relaxing, breezy feel. It's the perfect song for the summertime, which it is here in Australia. It's super hot even now as I'm filming it at like almost midnight. Super balmy, super hot, but as I said, has this cool, relaxing, breezy feel to it. Such a cool song, and as I said, really grew on me over time. Really catchy, and as I said, just a really cool song to open the album and also be the title track. So coming in at my number 9 is Daisy Chain by the band Slowly Slowly. Coming in at my number 8 spot is the track STFU by the band Neck Deep. Now, I haven't spoken about this much on my channel before, but one of my favourite modern bands of all time is Neck Deep, and for the longest time I've been waiting on them to drop new music, and in particular return to their pop punk roots. And even though they haven't completely ditched their pop punk sound, some of their more recent albums have been leaning more towards the pop sounding side of things, which is fine. I obviously have a preference to be more pop punk sounding, but you know, I'm happy with what I got. But as I said, I've always sort of been wanting them to return to form with their pop punk sound, and I sort of predicted that they would do that with any music coming forward, because lead singer Ben Barlow has sort of been speaking about on social media how artists like Olivia Rodrigo have been getting praise for having pop punk influences in her music, even though there are plenty of good artists that genuinely do it the whole time round. And you know, a little part of me says, like, that's all well and fine to, you know, voice your opinion, but can you be saying that when you're sort of going into that pop territory also? So I kind of felt like a return to form was coming, and for the most part that's what it was. I still don't think it's on par with Neck Deep's pinnacle, which to me is their album Life's Not Out to Get You, but for the most part I'm just happy that we have a sound that sort of resembles old Neck Deep, and I'm super excited about that. The song in general, super addictive. I've really enjoyed listening to it through the year. So coming in at my number 8 is STFU by the band Neck Deep. Second appearance now by the band Slowly Slowly, and here at number 7 I have their song Blueprint. For the longest time I was sort of pitting their song Daisy Chain and Blueprint against each other, and I was sort of going, which song do I prefer more, and you know, do both deserve a spot on this list? And obviously, as you can tell now, both I thought deserve a spot, but it was sort of a pit against which song do I feel needs to be higher, and at the end of the day I went with Blueprint. I just feel like this song has more attitude and just has more energy packed with it. Yes, I like the flowing and breezy feel of Daisy Chain, but I just like the rawness and attitude of Blueprint just that little bit more. Again, it was one of the singles before the album came out, and just super addictive again, even though, as I said, it has that raw attitude that comes with this song. Also just really extremely catchy. So coming in as my number 7 is Blueprint by Slowly Slowly. Coming in as my number 6 is Make Up Sex by Machine Gun Kelly. Now, hate on Machine Gun Kelly and his new album Mainstream Sellout all you want. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie, I really fucking like this song. It's a collab with Black Bear, which together they've done songs in the past before. They did a song on the previous album, which I also thought was really cool. I just feel like whenever these two team up, they just really match each other really well, and they end up doing really cool songs. And again, this is the perfect example. As I said, Mainstream Sellout, maybe not the best album ever, but for me, this was definitely one of the highlights. Like Hover Like a Goddess, which I mentioned earlier by Willow, this song is also really quick. I believe it runs for 2 minutes flat, does not overstay its welcome, could maybe use an extra few seconds, but doesn't hurt its rating overall. I just really like this song. At the end of the day, it's just really fucking cool, really vibey, and as I said, hate on Machine Gun Kelly all you want, and his new music and whatever he's doing. I just can't deny I really did like this song. I revisited this song a lot throughout the year, so I had to have it in my list. So coming in as my number 6 is Make Up Sex by Machine Gun Kelly. Moving into my top 5, and here I have Cowboys Don't Cry by Oliver Tree. Now, this was the leading single off his new album, and I think it left a lot of people hopeful for what his sophomore album would be. And overall with the album, as I mentioned earlier, I feel like a lot of people were let down. But this song, again, is just genuinely good. I think it's one of Oliver's best lyrically written songs. If you just listen to the lyrics, it's very deep and open, and I commend him for that. It's one of his deeper songs, as I said. I really feel like this is a genuinely good song, but mix that with the acoustic guitars and the strumming beat that he has going in this song. At the end of the day, it's really addictive, really catchy song, and I feel like it's a better song than a lot of people really do let on. So coming in at my number 5 is Cowboys Don't Cry by Oliver Tree. You've got a Coming in at my number 4 is Barbed Wire Body by the band Movements. Now, Movements is a band that I feel like is always constantly improving whenever they release new music, and again, they've done it with this song, Barbed Wire Body. I feel like Movements have gone from this progression, being a band that was just a mix between rock and emo, and now they've gone to like emo dance, and it doesn't still feel like they've gone too far out of their territory. They still have their elements that work for them, but they're trying out new stuff. It feels refreshing. They had another song come out not too long after this one called Cherry Thrills, which almost made this list also, but I needed to include Barbed Wire Body because, as I said, it was just so refreshing to see new music come out that sounded like this, and I feel like it has a bit more of a raw edge over Cherry Thrills and packs a bit more of an attitude. I'm hoping that a new album comes out with these two songs, even though I'm starting to lose hope since it's been a little bit of time since Barbed Wire Body and Cherry Thrills. But, I can always keep my fingers crossed because, as I said, I feel like Movements is a band that's always evolving and evolving on the incline as well because, as I said, constantly whenever new music comes out by this band, it keeps getting better and better. So coming in at my number 4 is Barbed Wire Body by Movements. Moving along into my top 3 and coming in as my number 3 spot is Bloodhound by 5 Seconds of Summer. Now, I've mentioned plenty of times before, when I first heard 5 Seconds of Summer's new album, it wasn't love at first listen. As I said, even the singles, it took me a little bit of time to get into it, and it was the same with a lot of the back catalogue. However, there was one song in particular that stuck out, and from first listen, I loved it straight away, and that was Bloodhound. And still now, I love this song. I constantly come back to it. One of the more refreshing and positive and upbeat songs for me this year. Just extremely catchy and just good vibes. As I said, it just leaves me feeling happy and positive. And of course, that's what people love to feel when they listen to their music sometimes, And as I said, one of the songs right from the start that I loved from first listen, so I feel like definitely earned a spot. But in my top 3 also, as I said, I constantly came back to this song throughout the year. So coming in as my 3rd place, number 3 spot is Bloodhound by 5 Seconds of Summer. Coming in as my 2nd place for today's list is Sitting Up by the band Spacey Jane. Now, right from first listen, this was a song that had me completely hooked. It just has great melodic soft rock melodies all the way through the verses, and it leads a little bit more into the energetic choruses. All round, this song is just such a great effort. It was one that I heard really early on in the year, and I remember from that first listen, I was thinking, wow, this is a song that's going to contend for number 1 position when I eventually get around to filming this video. And, 2nd place is nothing to frown at. Really solid effort. Obviously, 1 space off top spot, but overall, this is a song that I would definitely recommend. Great song lyrically also, I forgot to include that, but overall, as I said, such a great effort. One that I've loved from first listen, and I will love it plenty of years on from now. So coming in as my number 2 is Sitting Up by the band Spacey Jane. Looks like I've been struggling. Might be time to walk away. And if every time you see me, And now taking out my number 1 spot is the song Passing Through by the band Sly Withers. Now, I've spoken about so many times how I came across the band Sly Withers, especially in recent videos. I was driving in the car late one afternoon, and on the radio they were promoting small Aussie bands, and lo and behold, they played Sly Withers, and this was the song that they introduced a lot of the mainstream to, and right from first listen it had me addicted. It is such a great song, has like these almost acoustic verses that lead into these more amped up choruses that pack so much deep and open emotion. Just a genuinely good song, great lyrically, probably the best lyrical song this year, and as I said, just genuine emotion and passion shown in this song, and it's a no-brainer for my number 1. As I said, there was a lot of songs that could have contended for this spot, but I'm super proud with my number 1 pick. It's a song that I definitely would recommend. Yes, maybe the rest of the songs on this album weren't the greatest. There's some songs that I definitely still enjoy, Liar and Radio also. Sometimes there's another good one on there as well. I think it's actually called Something now that I think about it. But yeah, Passing Through, just such a great song. As I said, I'm super happy with having this as my number one for the year. So capping off this list, my number one song, Passing Through by the band Sly Withers. So thank you guys for joining me in this top 20 list. It was a little bit of an effort to get through this one. It was a long time recording, hopefully. I've tried to keep it short and sharp for you guys, so it's maybe not too long of a runtime, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your favourite songs of 2022 in the comments below. Maybe recommend some songs that you feel like I would enjoy also, and I can get back to you on them. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this list, and maybe I recommended some songs for you guys to check out. I know not a lot of people are sometimes into the same music that I love, but you know, maybe I introduce you to a few bands or artists that might be up your alley. But again, as I said, thank you for joining me in today's video, and I have some more content coming your way soon, guys. But thank you for joining me in this one, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.